invocation, let parochial vicar of Little Flower Catholic Church, excuse me, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads and ask God's blessing on this council meeting today. Blessed are you, Lord God of mercy. Through your Son, you gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment of love for one another. We ask that you would send down your blessings on these, your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others. Let there be an end to bitterness, quarrels, an end to strife, and let them faithfully serve you and their neighbor when they are called on in times of our need. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to our flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Vice President Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams. Here. Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich. Here. Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And happy to each and every one of you. Hope and pray that this is a very prosperous and productive year for all of you and for every citizen of the city of Mobile. The rules of the council are serious rules that are in place to maintain decorum. We ask first that you would silence all of your electronic devices, your cell phones, pages, beepers, if you still have those. Secondly, we ask that if you'd like to speak on a non-agenda item, that you would contact the city clerk's office on the Thursday preceding the Tuesday that you'd like to speak. We request that all of your commentary be pertinent to the city of Mobile. If you don't follow those rules, then you won't be able to speak on a non-agenda item. A speaker is granted 5 minutes. At the end of 4 minutes, you'll hear a bell that will let you know you have 1 minute for summarizing. At the end of that 1 minute, we ask that you would conclude your remarks and promptly be seated. To maintain proper decorum, there will be no undue applause and no public outcry allowed. We ask that you would clearly state your name and your address as you begin your presentation for the record. Those are the rules of the council, and we are so appreciative of your interest in your local municipal government. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of December 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved.
Communications from the Mayor's Office.
No remarks from the Mayor.
Wow, there's nobody here.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance in Cathedral Square on January 19th from 11:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m.
So move. Second.
Probably motion is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Appeal is granted.
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to approve the application of Sandra Page doing business as Page Independent Transportation for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a shuttle service.
Is there anyone here that would like to offer any commentary for this particular public hearing? Yes, ma'am. Come on down, and if you state your name and address, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Hello.
Good morning.
My name is Sandra Page, address 6009 Mission Hill Court, Mobile, Alabama. And I submitted the application for a shuttle service, and we just want to be help to the community. And if we get started, we're going to try to work as far as delivering different patients to doctor's appointments and to back and forth from their home to the doctor's office, and even to chemo if they have to go to take therapy or anything. That's what we want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Hey, it sounds like a winner. Thank you.
And you're welcome.
All right. Anyone else that would like to speak to this particular public hearing? If not, the public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Herb Wagner would like to address the council regarding 60015 and 14034.
Mr. Wagner?
Good morning. Herb Wagner, 732 Jemison Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36606, in Mr. Dave's district. And
Morning.
have appreciated his work, not always agreeing. I would like to say to Councilman Small, I did drive to Maitrey Park, and it is tenths of a mile away. I said not a mile away from my house, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful work. But I was focused mostly at that time on roads, and I'm still looking for Euclid and Glenwood, Little Flower Avenue, and Jemison Street to have some work. I thought I had that off, sorry. I wasn't actually expected because I was out of town. I had expected last week to speak, and I was out of town. So I really came here today to address more to support the City Council in its efforts to maintain its legislative authority, which I think our mayor has continually attacked. I thought, I supported you on maintaining the legitimacy, the authority over your agenda. I thought that, we have, seems an overstepping here of executive authority into the legislative branch. The mayor's not here today, but frankly, I was always wondering why we weren't one Mobile before, and ever since then, from the mayor's priorities, I've felt very much not a part of one Mobile at all, when he especially attacked people who were concerned about the environment and the town by calling us special interest. So, in fact, I'm off topic, right?
You're off topic, Mr. Wagner.
So, I just really came here today to, and I wanted to apologize because I last time I spoke a year ago, or 3 years ago, or something, I think I left the impression that I thought you were on the take for money, and I certainly never. I've always defended the City Council and my, in a public. And that's what I was trying to say, that other people do. They say politicians are always on the take, and I have never felt that about any of you, and I didn't mean to intend to give. This is a shirt my sister gave me for Christmas. I certainly did not intend to accuse any of you, and I respect you all, and I think the work you have been doing these last couple of years
Mr. Wagner,
is great.
While I appreciate that, I really do, and it's good to hear that, because I haven't been hearing much of that over the last 12 hours. It's off subject, Mr. Wagner. It's off subject.
Yes, yeah.
You signed in for 60015.
That was a couple of weeks ago, and actually I'm not sure specifically what the issues were at this point. It's been a couple of weeks. What were the two things?
You signed in to address the council regarding 60015, adhering to resolutions 14034.
So what were the topics specifically?
Is the timer running? Okay, I'm just making
This
sure.
is regarding ordinance 14034 contracts.
Okay, with the mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well, that's basically it. Yeah, I just came here to support you, to stand firm, and I just think it's an overstep of the executive branch into legislative authority, and to thank you and say that there is support out there for your position. Thank you so much, and
Yeah,
Happy
thank
New
you.
Year to you all.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice President,
Mr. Small?
I would like to say to Mr. Wagner, thank you for coming down and clarifying about Major Park. District 3 we got more parks than anybody in the district, but if you go to the city website and look on the CIP, you'll see exactly where each council person spends their money at. For myself personally, for District 3, District 3 is big. $3 million is not enough a year to cover everything in District 3. But I try to put emphasis on each area of District 3. I might put more emphasis like Baltimore Street or Ann because those are 60 years lacking of work, or Tremere Park, which is 30 or 40 years lacking of work. Man, I might not, about the little drain pipes that's on Pleasant Valley Road or Halls Road compared to many people use Ann Street or Baltimore Street or Tremere Park. But if you look on the city website, you'll see exactly where each council person or each council district spends exactly where it's money. And I can say for myself that District 3, I try to spread the love and joy as much as possible across the whole district. Thank you, Vice President.
Absolutely no problem, Mr. Small. Madam City Clerk?
Ordinance is held over. 640335, rezoning property at 2503, 2505, 2007 O'Shell Road, and 35 and 3030 in Holbrook Street from B2 and R1 to B1. 88036, ordinance deeming property at 650 St. Anthony Street not now needed for public or municipal purposes and authorizing the sale to activation maintenance.
So moved.
Second?
Properly motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mr.
My
Richardson.
comment's going to be on 64035, rezoning property on Herbert Street, O'Shea Road, 2503 and 2505, as it abuts Herbert Street. The citizens had a concern. I met with them, and they didn't want any traffic from the business that's going to be built on the corner of O'Shea Road and Herbert Street to come down that street. They believe they already have more traffic coming down that street than they should have. So it has been arranged so when people come out of that business, they're going to have to turn left and go back to O'Shea Road, and they can't go down Herbert Street. Additionally, they wanted 2 speed control devices. So the developer that is developing this business on O'Shea Road is going to put 1 speed device on that street, and I'm going to put the second one. And just today, I notified my secretary to get in touch with Ms. Jennifer White to find out the cost for 1 speed control device, and then issue a letter to administration to withdraw that amount of money from my discretionary account to put that device down there, because I want it done before the building is constructed. I want to leave a no-doubt moment. I want the speed control devices down there. So the fencing and all of that is done according to what the citizens recommended, and I think everybody's going to be all right.
Any other comments from council on these particular ordinances? On 88036, that's the sale property at 650 St. Anthony Street. It's a derelict building now. The city doesn't have any foreseeable use for it, and the persons interested in securing it have a track record of renovating and really bringing up to code these types of buildings, and we need more and more of that in our downtown core. So I support this 100%. All right, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
If there are no objections, I'll take all of these together.
Yes, ma'am.
Resolutions held over 01878, authorized agreement for right-of-way for use of right-of-way, 3153 Dolphin Street, 09879, reallocating monies from capital project facility maintenance public buildings to general fund facility maintenance public buildings operating supplies general fund for reimbursement for the purchase of stair treads for Hank Aaron Stadium. 21880, authorized contract of SOS AAA Iron Works for Fire Station Number 28 electric cantilever slide gate installation. 21881, authorized contract with Thomas Industries for Gulf Quest Maritime Museum repairs. 21882, authorized contract with Robert J. Baggett for City of Mobile, Alabama Cruise Terminal Parking Deck Repairs, Phase 2. 21883, authorized contract with S&O Enterprises for Cruise Terminal Off-Site Parking Security System, Mobile Civic Center Parking Lot. 21884, authorized contract with Jim Booth Contracting and Supply Company for Police Academy Classroom Acoustical Treatment.
So move.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Items passed.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 03001 through 60015.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolutions 03001 through 60015.
Second.
Properly motion and second. Any discussion?
Aye. Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, speak up.
My fault for being so slow, Mr. Daves. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Discussion.
Is there any discussion?
Oh.
Yes.
My fault for being so fast.
Yes, ma'am.
03001 and 03014 concur in the appointment of Charles E. Story to the Mobile County Department of Human Resources and reappoint Steve Stone to the Architectural Review Board.
So move.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion? To my knowledge, Mr. Steve Stone has served District 2 valiantly on the Architectural Review Board. He wants to continue to serve, and I say to him, serve on. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item passed.
Are there any objections to the remaining 4 items? Okay. 37002 and 003, recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine off-premises only license for the Purple Cow on Rangeline Road, and recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine on off-premises license for Hampton Inn Mobile Breakfast on Inn Road. 60004, determine expenditure of discretionary funds for contribution to the courtyard at Magnolia Grove Homeowners Association serves public purpose and approve payment. 60015, adhere to ordinance 14034, notwithstanding the objections of the mayor.
So moved.
Second.
Probably motion and second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich.
Okay. I'd like to discuss 60-015. First, I would like to begin by saying that this override of the veto of the mayor does not stop sidewalks from being repaired or our fire trucks from being fueled. It does, however, promote greater transparency, and it promotes more knowledge for this city council on behalf of the citizens they represent to make good, informed decisions when we are asked to approve issues. I would like to also say that I was very encouraged when we met and had the retreat that many of you are aware of. Although it didn't end for the press, we did have a press conference shortly afterwards in order to say that we would have more communication, although we knew we were already in court, and that in the future we would be working towards greater respect and higher communication. So I was somewhat surprised by the email that I received yesterday, because I too am on the mass mailing list, and so a lot of citizens got an email to help the mayor. It was, I think the title was Ein Help, And certainly, my office would be very open to any communication from the mayor's office. Prior to that mass mailer, which unfortunately hasn't been the case. So that thing, and I can't only speak for my office because I don't know if other council people were approached about the concerns that the mayor had with this new ordinance to kind of clarify and define the position of contracts and information that the administration should bring forward to the council. The council should be a rubber stamp. I don't think any of us have been elected to feel that is within our scope of our office. We have a check and balance system for a really good purpose, and it models nationwide the separation of power and authority by all means, which is so important. And this body up here represents the legislative arm of government, and the mayor's office is the administrative or the executive branch. And those are both placements at the table that at all times should communicate, should work together, but when there are differences of opinion, it should be expressed and made known, and then a consensus built if possible. But I'm looking forward to this ordinance in such a fashion that we have the court case to deal with one particular issue that has arisen with the council's initiative to hire a consultant under contract. But I'm hoping that this is not run over to court as well, because anything that becomes a legislative act can be amended, can get better, and I've heard my colleagues say that that's something that they are very much interested in, if need be, if we get any feedback. And they can certainly speak for themselves, but again, I know that my office is very much looking forward to greater communication and much more clarity in contractual agreements that the city has entered into on your behalf. Again, I appreciate the council's tenacity on this and overriding the mayor's veto. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Small?
I'd like to veto on my colleague, Councilwoman Rich. I was surprised also on last evening when I had received an email from the mayor stating false and fake information on his letterhead with the M on it. Very surprised. Following that email from the mayor, I have received many emails from citizens, not only in District 3, but throughout the city of Mobile. And some was in favor of the mayor, and some was against what the mayor was asking the citizens to do. And I'm just going to take a few moments to read just a couple of the emails that were sent. One email was sent to me. It said, "It is with a hope that I write to you. The city of Mobile has made strides forward and backwards under this current administration. I believe that sometimes the leaders that come from private industries are somewhat in awe of the process of government in the public sector. The bottom line is always important, but the protection of the institution of government is more important because it is outlive all of us. The council should stand its ground and override the veto of the mayor. The mayor has not of his own volition conceded anything to my knowledge since he has been in office. The power given in the executive is a shared power. The position taken by the mayor is that the council is a rubber stamp for him. If this was the case, then there would not have been a need for the act. Shall we revert back to the days where sections of this diverse community is not represented? I hope not. Please stand your ground and override this veto." Another email was sent. It said, "Don't let Sandy or his PR army bully you. Pass this ordinance. Do what's right for Mobile." Another email was sent. "I apologize for my original email. It does appear to be an ordinance." And this particular person had wrote and was in favor of what the mayor was saying. Then they finally read the ordinance. You know, they was going on what the mayor had put out there without reading the ordinance. So they finally read the ordinance and said, thanks for your engagement. Please note that we simply want everyone to follow the law. The vote last meeting was 7-0. Generally speaking, that means it's a good piece of legislation. Well, the mayor also said, well, text council person. Well, I did receive some texts, and one text I would say, hang in there. Transparency and inclusion have always been the intent. I like how you're standing together. That says a lot. It's hurtful that the mayor would bash the council like he did and try to run over us with his bus. And it's embarrassing also that he would have to even do anything like this, even besides taking us to court. So I don't understand that he thinks it's a government, or is it like the should be designed to be a separation of power that for mayor and the city council. I mean, we have to be accountable to the public. And if you think that you can just go and just do what you want to do, you know, right now, we just got an answer on last evening where one council person had asked about a Christmas tree. You know, we have a beautiful Christmas tree in Mardi Gras Park, very beautiful. It's beautiful, real pretty. I even stood under the Christmas tree. But I didn't know anything about the Christmas tree until it just got ready to go, before it got ready to go up in Mardi Gras Park. So questions asked, well, they said, well, you know, an email was sent out of, you know, the expenses of how much the city has spent this past week and et cetera. Well, I must have skipped over that email, but if anything costs over $100,000, I believe that the act to me, and again to CJ, states that it should come before the council. And that Christmas tree, it did not come before council, and that tree was way over the price of $100,000. Well, the question is at hand with CJ is, if this Christmas tree went like this, what else is going out like this? You know, is it cars? Is it besides Christmas trees? Is it paper products? I mean, one person even emailed me and said that, you know, we should go ahead and pass the ordinance, which the ordinance was passed a couple weeks ago. But saying that, you know, some people have to do a campaign makeup, campaign favors. And I said, you know, give me the definition of a campaign makeup and a campaign favor, you know. And I would not say I plug what they said to me, but you have to be accountable. And if you don't have accountability, you can just do anything that you want to do. And when you're messing with taxpayers' money, you cannot do anything that you want to do. You have to be accountable for what you want to do. What we have been doing in the past 6 years with this current mayor and administration is no different what the past council members had done with Mayor Outlaw, Mayor Dow, and Mayor Jones. It's no different. And we're doing the same thing. With this ordinance, it's just describing, you know, bring this to us, let us approve this. Don't let surprises catch us outdoors. And that's what is happening to this council, that we hear about things outside besides hearing directly from the administration or the mayor. It's embarrassing when the citizens know more information about what's going on in the government, city government, than the city council does. So this is what this ordinance is designed to do. It's not designed to slow down no concrete streets. We voted on paved streets last year. We voted on concrete sidewalks last year. None of that slowed down. This here just telling, put in black and white, this is what we expect, this is what we want, this is the law. Abide by it, and that's it. It's nothing trying to tie nobody's hand down or anything like that. It goes on, his letter goes on to say, you know, improving the delivery of services and cutting red tape at City Hall. Now the city is trying to undo that progress. We are not trying to undo that progress. If we were trying to undo the progress, we won't pass the sales tax to have a CIP program. They are attempting to choke the mayor's contracting authority through an ordinance placed on their agenda for Thursday's meeting. Last time I checked, the council was to legislate, the mayor was to administrate. It approves that ordinance 14-034 would delay our ability to deliver essential services to you. It will bind our employees in so much red tape that it would take weeks longer just to fix a broken sidewalk or buy fuel for our fire trucks. Very false information. Very false information. And the last time I checked, that anything under $7,500, he does not have to bring to us. What gas per week or per day is costing you over $7,500? Very false information. I'm looking for this, go ahead and pass, veto, override the mayor's veto, where we can continue to be transparent with the citizens of Mobile and hope that the mayor will work more closely with this council for 2019, because yesterday was a bad start in my eyes of 2019 as far as having a relationship with the mayor and the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Mr. Davis?
I'm not going to add, I'm not going to make any comments. If anybody, I've been responding to emails concerning this matter all morning, and if anybody would like to hear from me on it, they're free to email me at joel.daves@cityofmobile.org, and I'll be happy to provide my position to you. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think if whatever is done in the city of Mobile by a city employee, I don't care what it is, if it's done in the city of Mobile and it's paid for by taxpayers' money, then taxpayers need to know what it is. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to come down to what should the taxpayer, what information should we give the taxpayers? Whatever been generated by any person working for the city, including the mayor, whatever you generate and the public paid you to generate it, then the public got a right to look at it. So what has happened to us is this: by the mayor initiating contracts, and he's consummating the same contracts without coming to the council. For instance, waste management, he mailed them a check up there for almost $400,000. Then come to us. We stumbled up on it. How many other folks he sent a check to? You know what happens? Let's say you wrote the city clerk's office and said, what do we get? No, do we have a contract with waste management? Nobody city clerk going to tell you no, because unless the council voted on it, it doesn't come to her. This is the record keeper. She's responsible for keeping all of the records of the city, the official records of the city. It is not official unless the council voted on it. It's unofficial unless the council voted on it. So if you're trying to transact business on the side over here, and the council not vote on it, then there's no way for the public to know, and there's no way for us to know. I guarantee you, I got letters this thick with requested information, and I have gotten absolutely no reply back, because it's on things that he doesn't want me to know about. If you don't spend, I don't mind him holding some things, but having some things up there he don't want me to see. But if it's involved spending money, that's why I was elected for that. That's part of what I have to do. That's part of why I was elected here. We got to know. And I told in pre-council, I was in Washington, D.C. on city business, and I needed some water. I came downstairs, and I picked up 2 bottles of water and had them to put it on my room tab. When I got back here and turned it in, accounting said, we're not going to pay for those 2 bottles of water because it said refreshments, and we don't know what that is. I had to contact the hotel in Washington and have them to verify that it was 2 bottles of water before they would pay. My point is, if I have to be accountable for a bottle of water, surely you're going to be accountable for spending $500,000.
All right now.
I traveled all around the world to help bring business in here. And we have had Lagniappe and other newspapers to sign here to find out every city I went to and every dime that I spent. It took about 2 days for them to get it. But I could write and ask how much are we spending on legal fees, and I don't even get an answer. But if you want to find out what Fred Richardson doing, you got it. I don't have no problem with it because I can justify where I go and everything done. But I want everybody, we have transparency in the city of Mobile. And the only way we're going to have transparency is that we got all of these contracts down here, that the council vote on them, let them be authenticated by the city clerk's stamp, and let them be filed on record. So whoever would like to see it can take a look at it. So today, I'm going to be supporting overriding the mayor's veto because what the mayor's asking us, please don't require me to bring those contracts to y'all. Please allow me to keep on doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to ask to join me to fight this council so they won't take my right to contract with anybody I want to contract and not go to them. That's what he's asking for. And the council is saying that day has come and gone.
Mr. Williams? No? Mr. Gregory?
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, I think we probably have heard a lot and we'll hear some more, so there's really no reason to repeat anything that's being said. I too have received a number of emails, and I have answered some and will continue answering as the day goes forward. I think the main thing is that people need a chance to read the ordinance so that they can understand what it is and what it isn't. Because when the mayor's email went out, there was really no explanation of what the ordinance was, and people didn't have a chance to read it. So we are making the ordinance available for people to read, and I think once they do, then they can make their own judgments as to the validity of the ordinance, whether it's good or bad. If they have questions, we are more than happy to answer those questions. As we mentioned during the pre-conference meeting, we put things as small as our discretionary account contributions on the agenda to vote, whether it's $150 or $10,000.
Right.
We put those on the agenda to vote every week because we are making them public so that people will know how their money is being spent. And so that's part of what we are doing with this. Again, if we are going to be transparent, if we talk about being transparent, and I know that's the buzzword of the day, then we have to be transparent. We can't turn around and say, oh, it's just too cumbersome to do. We need to make it easier and not follow the law and not be transparent. Well, the ordinance spells it out, what the law is and how we intend to go forward. It is not an attack on this particular mayor. It is something for this council, this mayor, and all future councils and mayors to do to follow the law. That's all it is. So that's all we're asking for. And again, I think the way this appears on our agenda, saying adhere to Ordinance 14-034 was confusing as well, because what it is actually a veto of an ordinance that we passed unanimously back on December 18th. So I think, again, once people understand what it is, they will have a much better understanding of the law and why we passed this. As we also mentioned at pre-conference, if in fact we find that by implementing this ordinance there are any sorts of roadblocks or slowdowns from our departments, then we are more than willing to work with the administration to amend the language and find a better way or easier way to make things happen. We have contracts on this agenda every week, week in and week out, everything under the sun. That's not going to change. And I think there are ways to work with the administration to make these things happen and be better. I get emails from people all the time saying, we are so tired of the city council and the mayor fighting. Well, so are we. We're tired of it too. There's no reason for it. There is no reason we cannot work together. We cannot move forward the way everybody wants us to move forward and work together and communicate. That's all they want, that's all we want, and I'm sure that's all the mayor wants as well. So again, this is a veto. Council is looking to override the veto, is what we're actually doing today. I know what is on the agenda says adhere to ordinance, whatever it is, but basically it is just veto.
Or overriding.
Overriding a veto.
Thank you.
Overriding the veto.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory. Mr. Williams.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just simply call attention to the timeline in which this has happened. First of all, I've been asking for this for years and years and years and years. And it just simply hasn't had the necessary agreement to get it moving. I asked Ms. Cochran over over the year, you know, to try to get to work on it. We just kept working on other stuff, and finally, this came out prior to the 11th of December. It had some fairly strong language in it that had to be modified. And through the work of the council, what was presented on the 18th was, in my opinion, heavily modified. So much so that for on a rare occasion on a important issue, this council voted 7-0. But if it came out on the 11th the first time, that means that the administration and anyone on any mailing list or anyone paying attention to our agenda items would have found out on the 7th of December. So we're at the 7th of December, and by rule of this council that only started about 5 years ago, we held over for 1 week to the 18th. And I need to make a point about that, because when we started holding things over for 1 week, it was as if the sky was going to fall immediately, not just start falling. This was going to break the city. This was going to bog down progress. It was simply going to cripple the administration's ability to move this city forward along with the council. We have found out, and it was painful, that holding items over for 1 week, according to council rules, not only did not break the city, did not bog down the city, did not cause any real issues, it allowed everyone, every person that was concerned, wanted to know, the opportunity to be engaged. And sometimes it even saved us a great deal of money and embarrassment. So back to the timeline. The 7th is when everyone knew this was on the agenda. The 11th, we considered it and held it over to the 18th. We modified it between the 11th and the 18th to make it more palatable and quite honestly more reasonable. On the 18th, we voted 7-0. Here we are on the 2nd. We went from the 7th to the 2nd. It passed on the 18th. No opposition heard from the 7th until the 2nd, when a full-fledged social media and regular media campaign was launched. I got to be up again. Man, a lot of stuff has happened this month. We had a retreat. We had a retreat, and we said we're not going to do this anymore. That we're going to act civilly, and we are going to talk to one another face to face about issues that we have. My guess is that between all that's happened between the 7th and now, is that we have decided as a city, you're not going to be who we said we were going to be on the 12th. That's disappointing to me. There's some things I can't even talk about going on and are being advised not to talk about. But the fact is, we have to get to a resolution. And I'm about to repeat what I said about a month and a half ago. It is time to have a legal and binding decision on what the mayor does and what the council does. And I really don't care where that ends up. I do, but I respect the process that we must go through so that we can truly move our city forward. What's going on right now, I would wished we could avoid it. I'll just tell you right now, I received no phone calls, no conversations, zero on this subject. I was notified by Ms. Gregory last night that I might want to check my phone. I have responded to 35 emails. I don't have an exact count, but more than 20 had not read the ordinance. More than 20. 3 have changed their minds since they read the ordinance. Some I'm still talking to. We've got to get better at communicating. We just do. And if there is a very specific issue with this ordinance that is going to take gasoline out of a fire truck, or stop a sidewalk from being constructed, or delivering timely trash and garbage pickup to every citizen in our city, if it is going to hamper any progress in cleaning the ditches that drain the water out of this great city without flooding any homes, if it is going to clean up this city, if there's anything that we are doing with this ordinance that is going to hamper the permitting process of our city, the things that are very important, if it is going to hamper one police officer from doing their job, then I want to know about it, and we can change it. When I put a $50,000 limit on capital improvement projects that I would not vote for on the first day, it was going to absolutely cripple the city. It has not. And I'm willing to raise that to 100. I'm willing to enter into a cooperative effort to get our delegation at the State House to change the $7,500 limit on a contract to $25,000. I'm willing to engage with our delegation to make it very clear what our mayor can do, and I want it to be an agreeable thing. We got to be civil about it. I voted for this mayor twice. I'd vote for him a third time. And if I had a vote in each one of the council districts, I'd vote for each one of these council members twice. This is not going to hamper our city. And for those that are listening still, I apologize for the long rant, but I know we can do better, and I'm hopeful that we will. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Woods?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to make sure that we're all operating under the same facts, because one of the things that we have to deal with transparency is that you operate off facts and not necessarily beliefs that aren't supported by real information. So I just want this said so nobody can say, I didn't know or nobody told me. Mr. Williams' timeline is pretty on par. It doesn't leave two things to be desired. One is the letter was transmitted to your attorney, and she did actually solicit input on December 11th from the legal department. So what was not solicited was information, of course, from the departments who actually do the work and get the bids out. So Ms.
Mr. Woods is
Cochran.
correct. Mr. Woods is correct. I did not intentionally omit that, but.
I know you did.
Yep.
I didn't think that he did.
As well as the veto letter. So, yeah.
Also, the veto came on the 21st, and that is the objection, and it includes all of the information. But even before the first vote, of course, you all know several of you received phone calls from the mayor personally, and you also, there was a response letter from Ms. Flo Kessler in my office, my deputy, responding to what we thought some of the problems would be, and that letter went on December 17th. You may or may not have seen that letter, but I'd be glad to provide it to you all. So that's number one, the timeline. Timeline is accurate with those caveats. Number two, please understand that several times, I think you've alluded to the proposition that $7,500 is a limitation placed on you by the legislator. It is not. That is self-imposed. Understand that that $7,500 number comes from the old bid law. Many years ago, $7,500 was the bid amount. $15,000 is the current bid amount. You have the power to change that now. You could change that on your own and go up to that amount and match it. And I don't think anybody would dispute that. It's just a point of confusion. But I want to make sure we operate under the same facts. To the extent we're talking about, false information, there may be beliefs that are different, but we've actually talked to the people in the departments who've told us two things. One, when Mr. Williams had every right to add that week hold up and follow the council rules, and in some way it makes sense. But in other times, understand that adding that week has caused a bog down in our departments, and if you would talk to the people who do it, they'll tell you that. Now, has it caused a complete disruption? No. Will this cause a slowdown? Yes. Will we work through it? Yes. But it's going to be a lot tougher for us, and to the extent we're talking about fuel and sidewalks, so on a regular basis, our procurement officer, our purchasing agent, Don Rose, sends you all an email every Friday with purchases. If you would look back at your email, you'll see proof positive that on October 1st, you received an email referencing fuel cost, and you'll see that those fuel costs are $18,000, $19,000, because you, as city councilors, well know that we have as many vehicles as we have employees. And the police department and the fire department, they're running constantly, all the time. So those fuel purchases are constant. So they are over and above $7,500 on a routine basis. And so that you'll see, if you look at that October 1st deal, that we won't be able to make those types of purchases anymore under this ordinance. And so, you don't need a crystal ball to be able to tell you that that's going to be a problem when you have to actually have the information and the ordinance. You look at it, $7,500 all day is less than $18,000, $19,000. And on that October 1st email, you'll see that there are multiple $18,000, $19,000 purchases of fuel for operations purposes. And those are contracts, but those are purchases that under this ordinance will become contracts. Before creating this law, they wouldn't have fallen in this category. And I'll give you another example. We've got a really good operational architecture and engineering department. Under this ordinance that you're passing today, every bid will have to come to you. And so you will see those bids. You'll see those bids on tearing down those properties that are above $7,500. They normally go out anyway, but the bids come before you. That will hold up that process. We don't know how we'll fix it, but we'll have to work through it. But this is not, nobody's just saying, hey, this is going to happen, we're going to take longer. We actually know factually this will take longer because the way the ordinance is written. What I want to also talk about is, and this is to Ms. Cochran's credit, the discretionary fund is placed on the agenda, but remember that's new as of her coming here. So that didn't happen before. But that was all supposed to happen, and it's supposed to happen because by law, you 7 have to say that it is for a public purpose when it is discretionary if it's not by budget. So I don't want anyone to get the impression that the law wasn't being followed. What's happening is we're creating a new law, we being the city, you all being the city council, which you're fully empowered to do, but there are some technical, operational, and legal problems with it we'll have to address, we'll have to work through it. But I want to make sure that all of that is clear and that we didn't say anything. The last thing, and we've had some disagreement about, is the waste management settlement. So what we were trying to do was prevent future lawsuits. You all well know that with management, they sued solid waste authority. There was a $6 million judgment. There was a threat of litigation, and wanted to prevent that, which we settle claims and lawsuits on a regular basis. Granted, it didn't work out so well because I had talked to your previous council moving forward. We'd worked some things out. The election was coming up. We didn't get your vote on the 3-year provision, and that cannot pass without it. So you all said no, but I want to inform you that we had one lawsuit at that time when we were trying to get it settled, and we talked about additional money to have to fight those lawsuits. We now have 4 active lawsuits dealing with those same issues. So, and I'll be able to give you those documents, but we have 4 active lawsuits that came out of that one that we were trying to prevent by paying those wages and paying that amount. What you know is you will expend, you all said openly, you want to defend these cases, and I'm obliged. We'll gladly defend them. But that's going to cost money. That's going to cost a substantial amount of money. And what we're trying to do is prevent that by settling cases the way we have traditionally settled cases. Your new ordinance requires us to settle them in a fashion. Perfectly permissible. But I don't want anybody in that this new ordinance has always existed and we've always had to settle cases in that manner.
I have a question.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you.
She has a question?
Yes, of Mr. Ricardo Woods. My office cannot direct you and mandate that you give us any correspondence that you're sending to others. And I feel as though, as a council, our ordinances and everything are published and very, very, very public. I would have appreciated your insight. And it seems that the only way to get the attention was for my office to receive that the mayor needed help in stopping something, okay? Just from my perspective, I mean, I'm just telling you the sense that my office received. And the time to dialogue and give us this feedback is at our pre-conference meeting, the first time the ordinance came forward, which we did. I don't believe there was any dialogue from the administration. So if we are looking at needing more information to make good decisions, and we have, in your opinion, effectively sent in motion something that is huge, encumbrance and burdensome, that's something my office would prefer not to do. But I can only direct a legal counsel that works for my office, and unless there is good communication, and I really think the crux of everything is a lack of communication, because to wait to the 11th hour to now tell council to stop what you're doing is not an effective tool. And so I would just like to say, if we're going to learn forward from the retreat, I know you were not part of it, we didn't have legal counsel attend for multiple reasons, but if we cannot communicate, if we cannot hear back at a timely fashion, hence Mr. Councilman Williams giving you the timeline, giving the public the timeline, it becomes very frustrating. It's not something, we don't want to fight. That's counterproductive. But the position that we're put in is a fighting system, and in court, which means people are in disagreement. So we've got one avenue in court. I don't know if the administration plans to put this in court. I know it was talked about at the first round in court where we were going off. That's the only time I heard from your office that you had concerns about we were overstepping our reach. So again, we can't function if we don't have information. And information is two-sided. We put it out there and expect to get back the communication, which, like I said earlier, is extremely lacking if it takes this juncture to finally hear your concerns.
Let me respond to that question, Mr. Chairman. So, it was two things, and I think Ms. Rich is correct. I did put up opposition in court on the record to the ordinance there were changes. Okay, that happened on a Friday. It happened the Friday, I think, prior to the meeting. And then that was on your December 18th meeting that was voted in. Prior to that December 18th meeting, a December 17th letter with the objections and the problems went out, was communicated. And here we are, you're right, we're in January. On December 21st, you received a veto message explicitly pointing out all of the problems here, communicated in writing. So 3 separate times, the administration has tried to say, look, there are problems here. There are problems operationally, there are disagreements, vehement disagreements on some issues, and that there will be some issues. And so then what you all received last night was the 4th written communication to say there is a problem here. And so what I want to make sure, and Mr. Williams pointed this out well, is that the timeline is complete. And I understand that we'll go forward with voting, we'll do our best to make it work, but there will be problems and there will be log jams because of the way that this thing is written now.
Mr. Daves?
I would just like to say to Mr. Woods that, you know, I spent some time trying to work on a provision that I thought was the most onerous provision in the ordinance as originally drafted. But you know, we can sit here all day and talk about what's gone in the past. The question is what happens from this point forward. And you've heard today several members, and I haven't said it specifically, but certainly I join them in saying that I'm fully open to working with the administration to cure the more onerous provisions of this ordinance as it was finally adopted. I had some concerns about various aspects of it. I was willing to give up on those concerns to address the one that I thought was by far the worst. So you know, if the administration has specific suggestions with respect to raising the cap on contracts that the mayor can approve by himself, or extending the times involved in providing certain information, I'm fully open to that. But we need, I think what we'd like to see, or at least what I'd like to see, is you know, a marked up version of the ordinance as finally enacted, including the changes that the administration would like to see. I can't say we're going to agree to all of them, but we're certainly willing to look at them. Or at least I am, and I know that certain of my colleagues have mentioned that they're also willing to look at it.
Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Small?
I would like to say that, you know, weekly I go to Walmart and purchase a dozen of eggs. I don't go to Sam's too much because I'm not going to eat all them eggs at one time. I might go once, you know, probably twice a month to Walmart and get, you know, a carton of eggs. But what I'm trying to get to is that Easter time, I'm a member of a particular organization, but, you know, around Easter, we do go to Sam's and get those eggs and bundles, you know, in wholesale in a large amount. So therefore, the eggs at that particular time cost more, you know, more. I'm getting more from Sam's versus going to Walmart and just buying just individual eggs. And, you know, so, and again, that's just once a year that I go to Sam's and buy, you know, a bundle of eggs. And was saying that, you know, gasoline back in October, you know, what about November, what about December, you know. And that's what I'm trying to get to is that, you know, if it's gas has been purchased that amount of money in October, that still can be brought to council if desired and bring to us and let us vote upon that, especially if we only buy gas once a quarter or once a month or et cetera. I mean, that's just point blank to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I agree in general and in principle with what has been stated by my colleagues. What we are hunting after with this particular ordinance boils down to a very well-worn word, which is transparency. We ought to know, and you ought to know. And this isn't about any particular mayor. This isn't about any iteration of the council. This is rules that will be in place from here on out, so that everyone is aware of how all of our tax dollars are being spent here in the city of Mobile. That is incredibly important. Now, inundated with a lot of emails. Majority of the people who live in District 2, taking the time to write me, have written in support of transparency. And I'm appreciative that the citizens of District 2 see this issue in the manner in which they see it. This isn't trying to put some cumbersome rules and laborious extra task on the administration and the members of his cabinet and of his staff, but just to make certain that we know what's going on. We are the eyes and ears of the citizens of the city of Mobile. Our most important responsibility as a council person is our fiduciary responsibility. We're here to watch the resources. And because councils in past did not require it, doesn't mean that we ought not do what's right now. And I am to join everyone in saying that as we identify ways to make it better, as there are ways that we could bundle items, put them on consent agenda, there are ways. Cities across this country, across this state, are already doing this. This isn't the wheel that we're creating here by this ordinance. We're the anomaly. We're the outside city, because cities across this country, across this state, already abide by rules of this nature. And what's the harm? And as we identify the harm, we'll address it. But I want to know. I want to know, and I want my citizens to know, and I believe this ordinance lends itself to us getting the information necessary to make the decisions that we're charged with making. I believe this council wants to work with the administration. I get these emails and Facebook messages about why do you dislike? I don't dislike anybody. Why do you hate the mayor? I don't hate anybody. You can't hate somebody and see King Jesus. I'm not hating anybody. And I'm not going to let anything that goes on in this city stoop to make me go low enough to hate you. If I can't help you, then why am I here? I want to work with the mayor. And I believe he wants to work with us. We've got issues that we need to work out. And I believe this ordinance goes a long way to working some of these issues out. Communication. Transparency and communication. They go hand in hand. Every last one of us had one of those words in our campaign paraphernalia. We were going to be transparent. We were going to communicate. We were going to do it differently. This ordinance makes certain we do it differently. And as we come up with issues, come up with ways to make it better, we invite the administration to let us know the issues that this presents, and we will meet and work to find a way to balance the expediency that you all seek with the transparency that we seek and the information and input that we deserve as the legislative body of the city of Mobile. So I'm going to write back everybody who wrote me, every last one of them. And I hope it's a danger in writing mails when you don't know what you're talking about. There's a danger in that, because you'll get out on left field. And many of the people writing me are as far as left field as they can get, because they have not read one word of the ordinance. Not one. They don't even know that the ordinance already passed in the previous year. All of them writing me, please vote against the ordinance. There's no ordinance to vote against. The ordinance already passed unanimously. It's all of money, all of us ought to know where it's going. And all this is. So, any further discussion? If not, I'm gonna request a roll call vote, Madam City Clerk.
On all of them.
On 60.
Yeah, we should have called it
zero-
out separate.
60015.
Oh, we did them, we took them all together, so.
Yes, we
Well,
did.
let's separate them so we can get a roll call vote on this,
Last
60015.
Yeah, we should have done it.
Oh, yeah.
Need-
You do a roll call on them all.
Right.
Just roll call.
We can roll call
Yeah.
all of them.
Okay, roll call, okay. So now voting on 37-0022 through 60-015.
Right.
And Vice President Manzi,
Aye.
Councilmember Richardson,
Aye.
Councilmember Small,
Aye.
Councilmember Williams, Councilmember Daves,
Aye.
Councilmember Rich,
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory.
Aye.
Unanimous. CIP resolutions being introduced for the first time, 13-005 through 21-006.
To suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 1305 through
No. Only 21-006.
21-006.
2106.
Second.
Properly motion and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed.
If there are no objection, I'll take the two together.
I thought we were moving up.
Okay,
74.
13-005.
No. I think we only agreed to take 21-006.
Because it's under 50.
Take them separate, okay.
No, we didn't, we're not taking
Oh,
up 13.
okay, I'm sorry, 575. 21-006,
Correct.
authorized contract amendment with Mott McDonald for Grand Boulevard 2016 drainage improvements, adding 15th and $983.92.
Question.
We did.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motion and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21-007 through 37-012.
By council rules, these resolution were leveled for 1 week.
Call for public hearings. Call for 41-013, call for public hearing to rezone property at 5560 Todd Acres Drive, north side of Todd Acres Drive, 2/10 of a mile west of Commerce Boulevard West, from B5 to I-1, scheduled January 29th.
Second.
Properly motion and second, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Davis?
No announcements.
Mrs. Gregory?
No announcements.
Mrs. Rich?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy and healthy new year, and to also thank everybody who was responsible for the Moon Pie Drop event. The weather wasn't exactly cooperative, but the crowd seemed to be quite enthusiastic, and I thank everyone for their volunteerism in pulling that together. And I've heard very good things from our visitors and guests. When I was downtown, I didn't stay for the entire event, but again, I thank everybody who worked real hard to get that event out the door and going for our city. And again, happy, healthy new year to everyone.
Mr. Richardson?
Yes, I want to continue the conversation that Council Member Ms. Rich started regarding the Moon Pie Drop. I too would like to thank the council members for coming out. We had Councilman John Williams, Councilmember Bess Rich, myself, Councilmember C.J. Small. We had the mayor in attendance, and it was an outstanding event. And I would just go on to say that the Moon Pie Drop has now become a national event. People are not coming to the Moon Pie Drop based on entertainment. They're coming to the Moon Pie Drop. It's just like if you decided you want to go to the Crystal Ball Drop in New York, you're going to the Crystal Ball Drop, and whatever else is going on is what's going on. We had people from Africa. We had people from Japan, from all over this nation, from probably every state in the nation. They wanted to be in Mobile, Alabama when the moon pie dropped. It's what they wanted to be. So we had various functions at 8 o'clock. While we were at the River Plaza yard, we cut the moon pie, the edible moon pie at 8:30, and it took me about 15 minutes to get up to where I was supposed to be because there were so many people out there. We had a band, a first-class band out there playing, and when we finished that up, we did the second line all the way to the main stage, and we had 2 or 3 blocks of people following us down there. We had the wind, we had the rain, we had the fog, but come 11 o'clock, all of that dissipated. We didn't have any of that. So by the time the Sledge got on that stage to bring us into 12 o'clock, everything was clear, streets packed out, people everywhere. It ended up being an outstanding event. Let me just say the hotels were full, and that's the main thing we were going for, bringing people to our city. We were able to fill the hotels up. People came out in grand numbers. We're still waiting on one night where we have stars shining, the moon shining, no freezing cold. It hasn't happened yet. But nothing that's going on was able to stop the drop of the moon pie. It went down great. And I want to personally thank the mayor had his wife. They stayed through it. They stayed right with us, hung right in there, marched up and down the streets with everybody else. I appreciate that. It was a grand event.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson, and thank you for your vision and stepping out and going out the box to really create this this event that has become a cultural part of the city of Mobile. Appreciate that. Mr. Small.
Thank you, Vice President.
Yes, sir.
I'd also like to say that I also enjoyed the moon pie drop. Hope that next year we are able to announce the headliner much earlier than we had done in the previous years. But people was from Pensacola and people came from Birmingham, Alabama, and it was a great way to kick off and celebrate the state as it celebrated 200 years, its birthday for 200. Again, I'd like to thank Councilman Richardson for his vision and also Events Mobile. And also like to thank the citizens for coming out for this great event on this past week, New Year's. Looking forward for next year. I also want to remind the citizens of District 3 to please join the community action group in your area, but we got plenty of work to do for this upcoming year, and Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I join my colleagues in wishing everyone a very happy, prosperous, productive, blessed, love-filled, peace-filled new year. Greenfield, that's right. Greenfield, let's protect our environment. Climate change is real. And so I also echo the sentiments of Mr. Small. Get active in a community action group, a neighborhood association. If you don't have one, we're asking for leaders to step up and let's create one. We have the resources available to help you, to assist you. But all of it can't be done from City Hall. We need proactive and engaged citizens to make this city what we all want it to be. And so that said, that concludes my announcements. I was going to recognize Reverend Charlotte Green of the IMA. They hosted the Emancipation Proclamation service at the Toulminville Warren Street Church on New Year's Day, and it was a great success, and I appreciate that organization. They've held that program consistently for over 50 years. and it is appreciated. I've attended the last 5 was under the weather and was not able to attend this year, but I hear it was great success. And again, Happy New Year to all of our staff, principally our one employee, Ms. Lisa Lambert, and all of her staff. Let me get it right. And to the administration and to my colleagues, let's make it a productive year. And I just like to say on a personal note, you know, the media, and I'm not bashing the media, but the media would present to you that we're down here feeling like cats and dogs. That is not the case. That is not the case. We had an agenda full of action items. Not one item, not one item that needed to be moved on. The business of the city is moving forward. And we're gonna, I think we had an impasse, but we're gonna get past it. And if it takes help for us to get past it, we're seeking the help. And so, we're not here fighting like cats and dogs. I get these people calling me saying, oh, you all need to get along. Husband and wives fall out, disagree. And sometimes you have to go to somebody and get counseling. And once you get the counseling, you're back together. You don't divorce because you have one argument, I hope. So whether we like it or not, we're stuck together for 3 more years. And we're going to find a way. Somebody said somebody didn't have but 1 year. You told it off. The term doesn't end until 2021, am I correct? We've got to find a way to work together. And I believe the resolve is here on the side and the administration side to find a way. Mr. Davis?
Well, I'd just like to join my colleague. I know we've been here a long time today.
That's okay.
But I'm going to say something that we've said, that some of us have said on several occasions in the past, but I think what you just said, Reverend Manzi, reminds me of it, is that when the people who founded this country 250 years ago did so, they created a government of divided powers. And they did this so that you couldn't end up with one person or one group of people running the country unimpeded. And what that means is that the powers of government are divided, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branches. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that there are periodically disagreements between those various branches of government as to who has this power and who has that power. It's inherent in the system. The system was created to be that way. It was created to create conflict between these various sections of the government. So I just want to remind everybody of that. It's inherent in the system. This will be worked out, and as my colleagues have pointed out, this current controversy that's between the council and the mayor, and on one particular aspect of it between me and the other members of the council, we'll get that right resolved eventually, and then we'll all go our merry way. In the meantime, the business of the government moves forward without any slackness at all. There hasn't, to my knowledge, been one piece of business, one piece of city business that has been delayed 1 minute as a result of this particular controversy that we're going through right now. Thank you.
Can I
Mr. Chairman?
Mrs. Gregory and then Mr. Williams.
Man,
While
I
we
just
are
want to say that I'm going to ask him permission to quote him on that. It was absolutely the best way that it could have been said, that it is indeed supposed to be this way. And it's just our time, and be patient.
That's right. I agree.
Right. And to continue the point,
Yes,
even
ma'am.
though it is lunchtime.
That's okay.
Since I'm one of the members who's been here the longest and had the pleasure of working for a mayor a time or two under Mayor Dow, I sat in the audience many a day and listened to council members absolutely ream him out. They sat right here in his face, pointing their fingers at him, complaining about things that he was doing or some of his initiatives. And I sat in the audience and wondered how in the world that mayor could take it, or why the council members felt like they should act that way. You've never seen this council do that. But with Mayor Dow, they always found a way to work things out, no matter how bad it got, no matter what the agreements were, how much animosity you may have thought you saw on the count, they work things out. And we will work things out too. I served with Mayor Jones. We didn't always agree with Mayor Jones. Yet I got emails from people saying, why aren't you supporting Mayor Jones? He's the mayor. Support Mayor Jones. Just like some of the emails I am getting from people now who are saying, why aren't you supporting Sandy Simpson? You need to support the mayor. Well, for the most part, we all do support the mayor on the initiatives that they have brought to us, and I think we'll continue doing that. We don't always agree 100%. And like Joel said, that's not the way we were set up, to rubber stamp whatever the mayor brings to us. So I think it's healthy to have discussions, healthy to have disagreements, but even healthier that we as a council and mayor find a way to go forward and do what's in the best interest of the city. And I think we'll do that again. I know we'll be able to figure out a way to make sure those fire trucks run, whether we have to bundle all of Don Rose's things that he sends us every week anyway. Okay, we'll do it. You know, we'll figure something out and make it all work and work together as a team the way we should.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory, any other comments?
I'd just like to say this.
All right.
If you want a government, if you want to live in a country where there's no internal governmental differences, go to Russia. They don't have it in Russia. Everyone gets along in Russia.
All right.
You gotta
Russia.
worry.
Mr. Richardson?
I would just like to say that more than 99% of the time, what we are voting on was generated by the administration. 99% of the time. Every now and then, this council puts something on the agenda. And the hoopla is over what we put on the agenda, not what the mayor put on. So the mayor's point is, I would have put something different. I would not have put that up that could be true. He probably would not have put up there what we put up there. But yet and still is what we put up. This is, we don't hold mayor meetings, hold council meetings. We are transacting the official business of the city of Mobile right now. That's what we come and do every Tuesday. We transact the business of the city of Mobile, and when we think that there's something that we need to put on this agenda and deal with, that's what we do. And most times when we finally do that, the other side would have something to say. We almost every week we pretty much rubber stamp whatever the mayor puts up here, but from time to time we put something on this agenda that we think is going to make it better for everybody. Today we're aiming at transparency. We are aiming at transparency, that we have a right to know and the citizens have the right to know the same thing we know. And where there are instances where we are not given the information that we asked for and the citizens not getting the information, then we create an ordinance, a law that we all must abide by. And this is what we're doing today. We created a law, not what we hope would happen, but what will happen. This is our ordinance is beyond a resolution. It's the law. Today, what we're voting on is the law, and that's why we're getting. Some people don't want to follow this. They want to keep on doing what they're doing. We voted on a new law, and we all are going to have to go down this road.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Any further comments? There's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I might need a roll call vote on that.
No,